The Chcksan swivel joint is mechanically very simple, but it is extremely important in function. We use them in different applications, but the two most commonly used are the Style 1, a 3-inch swivel with a Weco figure 1502 male sub and nut on both ends, and the Style 50, a 3-inch swivel with 1502 union ends. We will cover the maintenance procedure of these joints in this program using the Style 50 swivel joint. The same procedures are used in the maintenance of both joints. Let's briefly look at the construction of the swivel joint. There are 3 bearing races on both the male and female connections. Packing, which the male end seals against, an O-ring, which internally seals the bearing area, and an outer grease seal. The bearings are removed by removing the ball plug. There is a ball plug for each of the 3 female races. The ball bearings hold the connection together, yet allow the joint to swivel freely. To repair damaged packing, you will need these tools: snap ring pliers, standard pliers, a 5/16 inch socket, small, medium and large screwdrivers, a small pin, a punch or 3/8 inch bar, a hammer, a grease fitting, a grease gun, and a cleaning brush. You will also need a Chcksan swivel joint packing kit for each swivel area. The kit contains a packing unit, an O-ring seal, an external grease seal, a set of replacement bearings. You should securely fasten the joint into a suitable vise. Remove the segment retainer ring. Now the nut should slide back, releasing the nut segments. After removal of these segments, the nut will slide off. The retainer ring should be removed. If your joints have male subs on both ends, the other nut should be taken off in the same manner. Reposition the joint in the vise so that it is held by the neck of the sub end. Secure it with the ball plug openings facing up. To remove the ball plugs, take out the snap retainer rings. A small punch can be inserted into the ball plug to extract it. The same procedure should be used to remove the other 2 ball plugs. Now, reposition the joint so that the ball plug openings are pointing downwards. Place a container under the balls to catch them as they fall out. As the male race is turned, the balls will fall out. Some of them will be a little hard to remove because of the grease, but a small screwdriver or pin inserted into the hole will keep the balls from turning, and they should fall out. After all the balls have been removed from all 3 races, the joint will separate easily. Remove the grease retainer ring from the female race end. A small screwdriver is useful for this. Then remove the O-ring, then the packing. You may have to use a large screwdriver to force the packing loose. The other swivel section or sections should now be disassembled in the same manner. Lock the female end of the swivel race securely in the vise. Remove the snap retainer rings. Remove the ball plugs. Position the joint so the ball openings are pointed downwards. Turn the male end of the swivel race to make the balls fall out of all 3 races. Use a small screwdriver or pin to help extract any difficult balls. Remove the male race end. Remove the grease retainer ring, the O-ring, and the packing from the female race. Now all parts should be thoroughly cleaned with solvent, making sure that you wear the correct personal protective equipment for this job. The parts have to be free of all dirt and old grease. Check the races on both male and female subs. They should be smooth and clean. Check for excessive wear, pits or erosion. If damage or excessive wear is apparent, you should replace that part. Now check the chamber of the female O-ring counterbore for pits and erosion. Again, if you find these problems, the new packing will soon fail if it is reassembled damaged. Now check the male end packing face for pits and erosion to determine if it can maintain a leak-tight seal. Excessive pitting and erosion are a sure sign of a faulty sub, and it should be replaced if damage is found. Minor corrosion can be removed with fine emery paper. On the 1502 male sub-end, check the seal ring face and ball contact seat surface for erosion or damage. If damage is present, this section will have to be replaced. The rubber packing or seal ring should be removed and replaced in the female end of the 1502 sub-end. Check the packing face of the seal ring for erosion or damage. As with other parts, it too must be replaced if damage is found. All of the parts included in the swivel repair kit should be used in reassembly of the swivel joint. As mentioned earlier, each swivel section will need its own repair kit. Reassembly procedures go like this. Secure the part with the male sub-end and female race end in the vise with the ball plug holes facing up. Check the chamber of the female race to assure that it is perfectly clean. Lubricate the packing with oil or light grease and install it extrusion ring facing outwards in the female race packing counterbore. Press the packing tightly against the packing face of the counterbore. Make sure the bronze extrusion ring is facing outwards. Lubricate the O-ring and install it in the female race O-ring counterbore. Now lubricate the grease retainer ring. Carefully press it into its groove. Check the packing face and race areas to be sure that they are perfectly clean. Insert the male race end of the elbow into the female race so that the three races line up in the swivel. Insert a ball into the centre race and at the same time rotate the male race slightly until the ball is forced into its race. Insert balls in the other races, rotating slightly. Continue to insert balls into all three races until all the races appear to be full. It may be necessary to apply pressure to the balls with a large screwdriver. Don't try to jam or overfill the races with balls. There should be less than a ball space between the first and last ball in the race at the plug opening. Fit a ball plug into each plug hole after the race is filled. Position the plug in the hole so that the groove in the plug will line up with the balls. This will allow the balls to pass through the groove when the swivel is turned. Lightly tap the plugs firmly into place with a punch. Install the snap retainer rings. Make sure the rings snap into their grooves. After all three ball plugs and snap rings have been positioned, screw the grease fitting in. Using a hand grease gun and any multi-purpose petroleum-based lubricant, pump grease in through the fitting while turning the male race. The grease is forced into the race cavity. When grease begins to extrude from the ball plugs, remove the grease fitting and refit the screw. This swivel connection is now complete. Reassemble of the second tri-race swivel is identical and should follow the same procedure. Grease the packing and install it in the counterbore with the extrusion ring facing out. Press the packing in well against the packing face of the counterbore. Lubricate and install the O-ring. Replace the grease retainer ring in its groove. Insert the male race end of the elbow into the female race. Insert a ball into the centre race while slowly rotating the male race. Insert a ball into the other two races and rotate. Continue to insert balls. If necessary, use a screwdriver to force the balls around. Continue until the races are full. Do not overfill. There should be less than a ball space left when the race is full. Install new ball plugs. The groove should match the position of the race so that the balls rotate through the groove. Tap them down firmly. Install the snap rings. Make sure they snap securely into place. Install the grease fitting. Pump grease until it flows from the ball openings. The nuts should now be installed. Place the snap ring around the neck of the sub. Slip the nut over the sub. Place the 3 nut retainer segments over the neck end and inside the nut. Pull the nut over the retainer segments and install the snap ring. This swivel joint has now been completely rebuilt. Its service life is directly dependent upon how it is used. Each joint on each of our rigs performs a specific function. It was designed into our system to allow flexibility wherever needed. It should be replaced exactly as it appears in your subsea operating manual. If it isn't, forces can be exerted in directions that the swivel wasn't designed to move. This will damage the packing and races and will lead to shortened life. Be sure your joint is reinstalled as directed by your kill and choke hose manual.